Yes, good evening. My name is Wallace Gator Bradley. Close on.
All right.
There you go. My name is Wallace Gator Bradley, and I'm the president of United in Peace, Inc. And we're going to have a very interesting show today. There's so much happening within the city of Chicago. As y'all know, that Kim Foxx came out and said she's in full support of the legalization of marijuana. The governor said he's in full support of it. The county board president said she's in full support of it. And I'm quite sure a whole bunch of aldermen gonna say they in full support of it. But as always, this show is made possible by none other than the Madam Chairman of United in Peace, Inc. She's also the director and the producer of this show. And she the one to tell me what to do. You know, I'm caught up on that honey-do list because she's none other than my wife, Terry Marsh. Right. And I want to say to God be the glory. I got a very interesting guest today.
Thank you.
He's also a friend of mine. We may have different political views, but as y'all know, this is a very opinionated show, and all opinions are respected, honored, and tolerated. Without further ado, let me introduce this gentleman to you, and then I'll tell you where our differences lie.
Right. Oh.
Hey, welcome to the show, Doc.
Thank you for having me.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Okay.
Definitely appreciate it, Mr. Bradley.
Brother, could you let my viewing audience know
Absolutely.
that the wonderful thing about our ancestors fighting for us to have the right to vote is so that someday we will be given the responsibility to govern those who voted for us. I know you're running for alderman in the 18th Ward.
Yes, sir.
But you're aware that I'm with the guy that's there.
Much respect.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
I get it.
That's what I'm saying.
We're doing what's right for the people,
right? For the people. That's
right.
it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it.
Absolutely.
You know. So tell them who you are and who you're running against and why you're running.
All right. Well, not really running against anybody, but my name is Chuks Onyezia, C-H-U-K-S. It's actually born and raised in Chicago. The name is a Nigerian name. It actually means God is present. Running in the 18th Ward. A little bit about me.
Yes, sir.
I'm an attorney by trade. Actually, I'll go down from the beginning.
Right.
Educated as a mechanical engineer from the University of Illinois.
Correct.
Worked for a while as an engineer. Decided that I wanted to move up the ladder and went back to school to get my MBA and my law degree. So I have an MBA in corporate finance and a law degree. Worked for several years as an attorney for several Chicago firms. Worked for the federal government, Department of Commerce as a patent attorney. Kept climbing that ladder, learning my craft, sharpening my craft, sharpening my tools, sharpening my mind. Got re-involved in the community that I'm part of, and you know what? We need people. We need all type of people to help move us in the positive direction.
Right. You know, I'm glad that you made that move because I had to make the move myself. You know, I ran almost a whole decade against a strong woman, Dorothy Chapman.
Oh.
I may have lost the race or election, but I gained so much knowledge.
Absolutely.
This gentleman is running against a friend of mine and someone that I support, which is Brother Derek Curtis. You know, he's the former. No, he is the alderman. This brother trying to make him the former alderman. So, you know, for transparency, Derek's my guy. He my guy because he understands that.
Absolutely.
Okay, and everybody here know this show is an opinionated show where opinions are being respected and ideas. Running for that office.
Yes.
Explain to not just my viewing audience, but now our viewing audience.
Right.
Okay, this is live stream.
Okay.
Why are you running for the seat? You have a right to, first off, because you're a registered voter.
Absolutely.
But what's your platform to make the ward better, and whether you feel the alderman is not doing his job?
Well, I'm glad you said that. And again, thank you for having me. there's a lot of people who wouldn't do that.
That's because of our friend Zip.
Yeah,
my
no
man.
problem, no problem.
He's my resident Republican and I'm his resident Democrat. Sometimes we had these spats. We try to have a Zip and Gator show, but nobody want to do it.
Hey, as long as it's family, right?
Right.
That's all that matters.
All right, come on.
So let me answer your question. Why am I running? So, like I mentioned before, the community needs it. The community needs it. It's not running for myself. It's not something that I deemed upon myself. It's something that's necessary that I see in our community. As I mentioned to you before, backstage, I'm not new, to City Council and City Hall.
No, I met you with 7th Ward Alderman.
We've met in City Hall on that second floor many times.
Right. I used to be chief of staff to a different alderman, different ward. Okay.
And to answer your question, why? I'll be honest with you. I worked hard. We worked hard in that ward to bring in resources for the community. But I live in 18. Every day I drive east, I come back west. And the stuff I was fighting for in that ward, we weren't getting a piece of that. We didn't have somebody like me working for where I call home. I have a 4-year-old actually.
Okay.
And it's for him. It's him and his peers. We have to fight for our future, and we got to put our best foot forward. And I believe that I'm one of the best feet that we can put forward.
That's good. That's good. Now tell me what you feel the alderman that's there hasn't been doing for the people there, because I know he has. You know what I mean? I watched him grow up in that ward.
Yep.
Okay? And the wonderful thing about that ward, that's a very diverse ward, as you're aware.
Sure is.
Okay? And individuals in that ward, I know if they feel like you're not doing the job, they're going to get rid of you. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons that you feel you ought to run. Yeah. So my question is, what are the things that he hasn't done, or what do you think he may have done and didn't do enough of?
Well, let me rephrase that a different way. At some point, we have to look at putting our best foot forward. It's I don't want to get too accusatory in what he has or hasn't done. It's about putting your best foot forward, focusing on issues and putting the best team in place. There's a reason why you have a bench and you have the starting 5. I look at it like this. I've been trained and I have experience doing certain things. Now, he's been in city council for a little bit, almost 4 years.
Right.
Prior to that, he's worked in the city. But I bring to the table something different, a different feel. People need to understand what the role of an alderman actually is. Sometimes it gets convoluted. We say, oh, my streets are done, so I'm satisfied. I got a garbage can in my alley when I ask for one, and I'm satisfied. But, allow me to be real with you.
Yeah.
It's a legislative position. When you go to city council, and I can be honest, I can be frank with you here.
That's what the show is, opinionated. I want nothing but frankness. Right, that's why I didn't say you couldn't come on the show, even though Dag is my guy.
All right, well,
you know what I'm saying? This movement here to educate. I'm like this, man. I see a lot of people running.
Yeah.
And a lot of people got a right to run. Case in point, you become alderman. What's your stance going to be on raising whatever tax there may be in order to get revenue to provide the services to your community?
Oh, that's easy. I'm not for the raising of taxes. We hurting people. We leaving.
Where you going to get the revenue from?
So you actually create revenue from different new sources. And I have a few. Obviously the top 2 that everybody's circulating right now is the inevitable tax on marijuana.
That's a tax.
Everybody's talking.
You went for tax.
Well, okay. I'm sorry.
Right. That's a tax.
Existing taxes on the people, on existing taxes that don't exist anymore. They're not currently here. The only way to raise revenue is to tax something or actually have the city become a player in commerce. And that's one of my ideas. So let me rewind and get that to you. So one of my proposals, the city is a player in the demolishing of abandoned buildings.
Okay.
When I was working in a different ward, it cost about $20,000 to $40,000 to demolish a perfectly good building at times that the owner has abandoned. The city foots that bill. Not only does the city foot that bill, then more than likely the city ends up taking that property and is tasked with maintaining that property.
Correct.
So this is something that if the city were an active participant in the development of the property, now you're saving that money that demolished a perfectly good building. Now you're actually selling that building, introducing it to a developer that can take over it.
Correct.
And now that's a revenue stream that the city can, and that's a non-taxed revenue stream.
Correct.
You know,
caller, I see you calling. Could you please state your name?
Yeah, this is James.
What's your opinion?
Can you hear me? This is James.
Hey, James.
When the alderman said he was going wrong, what do you think about the other three aldermen going to, about corrupt? What if the other aldermen going down too? Like Ed Burt and the other two aldermen. And what do you think about that? If he talk about he was running for alderman.
Okay. Well, the question is, what do you think about the alderman Berge talking about the 14th Ward alderman, and then he talking about Alderman Solis that wore a wire for 2 years.
Yeah.
He's asking,
what do I
as
think?
an alderman, he's asking you this question as if you are the alderman.
Okay.
If you should be elected, what is your ethical stance?
Well, at some point, you know, an alderman is not above justice.
Correct.
No, nobody's above justice. And right now, as an attorney, I can tell you, as an attorney, we have to wait for all the facts to come out. But, you know, if the facts that are reported are true, 100% true, which we will find out over time, swift justice needs to happen. You know, unfortunately, Chicago has been tainted with a plethora of aldermen that have gone to jail, have been involved in corruption, and a few other things. And so, at some point, enough is enough, but we have to let we have to let the legal system do what it has to do.
Correct.
Now, I don't want to demonize anybody until they have their fair day in court.
Right.
But I'm against it. You know, like I said, there are a lot of precautions in place, and some of the things that are being blamed of are illegal, and there's ethics for that.
What do you think? Do you think aldermen should maintain their power of having say-so on what development comes through their ward, or should they maintain what people are saying are perks? Okay. You know, you got the right as an alderman to say what ought to be zoned in your ward and all of that. You know what I mean? If you become alderman, are you willing to give up the perks that the mayoral candidates are saying that aldermen should have?
So what you're talking about is automatic prerogative.
Yeah.
And let me answer that by saying no. And I'll explain why.
Okay, explain why.
Working for an alderman's office.
I want to wrap it up.
Okay, working for an alderman's office, this is what I noticed. Constituents come into an alderman's office on a daily basis, and they want that office to perform miracles. They want their alderman to be as powerful as possible to help them in the situation.
Correct.
So if we have a knee-jerk reaction and say, you know what, we have some aldermen that are abusing their powers, let's take their powers away, the majority of people want that alderman to get them out of the situation they're in.
Right.
So the real answer is, it's not reducing the powers of an alderman, it's to the people. Elect better aldermen. Right. Elect better aldermen. If you elect a better alderman, when you need something, you come to that alderman's office and you want them to have the power to solve it.
Well, as alderman, you have to deal with the mayors. Who's your mayoral candidate?
Oh, I don't have one.
You don't have one?
There's so many. I don't have one yet.
You're a wise man. Okay, caller. I hear you. I see you coming in. Come on, state your name and voice your opinion.
My name is Mark, and I tell you, I live in the 18th Ward, and nobody has asked me to make this call. I just happened to be skipping past the channels and saw my friend Chuks there, and I'm going to ask him publicly the same thing that I asked Derek Curtis, and he lied to me, Derek Curtis did, when he said he was going to get rid of those red light cameras on 79th Street and throughout the 18th Ward, those speed cameras as well. He promised that he would do it. He signed a pledge with Mark Wallace of WVON to do it, and still has not done it almost 4 years later. I want to know, Chuks, are you going to do something about these ridiculous red light cameras and speed cameras that are throughout our ward? And secondly, I wanted you all to know that I read an article today in the Chicago Tribune that showed that Derek Curtis was making the same answers that Alderman Leslie Harris gave to their editorial board, and just gave the excuse, well, we use the same consultant. The most ridiculous thing in the world. This guy hasn't done anything for our ward, and it's in worse condition. Just get up and down 79th Street and in the 18th ward. And
hey, can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
It's your ward, correct?
That's my ward.
Okay. What have you done to aid and assist the alderman, with his support or not, to help make your ward better?
Business. I've started a business in the 18th ward myself, but I'm but one man. I'm expecting my alderman to step up and do much more than he's done, and I'm certainly not expecting.
Okay, my next question to you.
Interface and lie.
Hey, my next question to you. If this alderman can't get rid of now one of those lights in 4 years, what you gonna say about him?
He's got to be replaced too.
Okay. Hey, with that, then let me get to let me finish this up because I'm about to roll off. I appreciate your opinion, and I like that answer that you gave. To God be the glory. Question to you.
Yes, sir.
With the there's so much happening, you know. And it's gonna be changes, you know.
Definitely.
One of the things that the reason I asked the gentleman that question, because I believe all of us have a responsibility. Because what I've learned, that a lot of those that we elect into office don't realize the full power of their office. And what I mean by that, if I'm a Cook County Commissioner and you're an alderman,
correct.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's no reason that we're not speaking to help your constituent within that ward, and you aiding and assisting me as a commissioner to help the constituents within that district.
Let me add to that. If you're not speaking, you're doing the constituents a great injustice because you're not working
Correct.
with all the angles you have.
So you're guaranteeing. Okay, same thing I telling kids and all. And the reason I'm saying that, I see the Hispanic caucus, they make sure that they deal with everything. When I see Tony Prattwinkle, okay, she's the most qualified person running, okay, because she got all the resources and she got the reach. You follow what I'm saying? Bar none. Not Daley, not Mendoza, not any of them have the resources and the reach. You follow what I'm saying? Okay. None of them running is a part of an organization that have Cook County commissioners, state senators, state representatives, you follow what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay, in that district, you know what I mean? To do what has to be done. So, Carl, I see you. Give me your opinion, give me your name, voice your opinion, because we're going to move on to another segment.
Okay, Gator, this is Steve.
Hey, Steve.
I love what the question that you asked that last caller. What are you doing? Just because you get a business in the area don't mean you're doing anything because you got a business. Do you know your neighbor 3 doors away from you? Do you ever try to get out like now, shovel the snow? If you don't shovel, pay somebody to shovel the snow up and down the block. You form a block club. Do something instead of look out the damn window and complain. We got enough complainers. We need people who's willing to get out and just try something. Just go down the street, knock on your door. My name is Joe Blow. I live at such and such an address. And people, that's how things perform. And then get a block club meeting. Get a block club. That's how you're going to do your block. Because trust me, everybody on the block know who's doing something. A lot of people are scared. Just get together and you talk about it. That's all you got to do. Gator, you're a hell of a guy. Like I say, people just need to just take some kind of suggestion sometimes. Don't know everything, but take a suggestion. When you walk out the door next time, hello, how you doing? My name is Joe Blow. I live here. I got this place down the street. If you ever need somebody, got a kid, send them down there. I'll pay them to shovel the snow or do something, or sweep. That's how you conform. That's how you get a committee going. Again, this is a wonderful time to live. Gator, I'm always proud of you, partner. Let me get out there so somebody else could speak. And thanks for taking the call. And I want to hear your response.
You know, you 100% correct. You know, that's the way that we were raised. Now we elders, you know what I mean? Absolutely. We got to support them to show them. But a lot of them, I'm not saying him, There's a lot of individuals that's running for office, and the first thing they say, they don't want to listen to the elders. You know what I'm saying? Okay. You can't say you want to run for office and don't understand the movement that Rosa Parks led, or understand that behind that movement, okay, you end up with someone elected to the state's attorney's office today that's really concerned about criminal justice reform, like Kim Foxx, and showing you what she's doing. You follow what I'm saying? Okay, or the fact that there's an attorney general that we already elected, and you read the headlines in the paper that the attorney general is making a call for to say that, hey, that sentence that Van Dyke got was too lenient, and we need to look into this.
Visit it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, that's the power of the people, and we do have the power, especially when we become educated voters. Caller, I got about a minute. Come on with it. State your name, voice your opinion. Hello, caller?
Hello?
Yes.
Yes. Hi, I was listening in on the show, and I just want to kind of follow up on a question that was asked previously about the cameras, and this time I would like to hear from the candidate. I would like to hear from candidate Chuks, and with that, I'm going to just listen and hear what he has to say about the removal of the red light cameras, because he didn't get a chance to speak.
Oh, that's why you got it right. Hey, I ain't kicked him out the show yet. He's still here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, only because I'm going to another segment on news that we all can use.
So I can be quick with that. So,
yeah, come on.
I signed a pledge 4 years ago. You know, I am not a supporter of the cameras. I can tell you right now, I will not support the installation of any new cameras in our ward. I'm victimized by it. It's an unnecessary. Just call it what it is. It's a tax. It's an unnecessary tax on the residents and constituents of the 18th ward. We shouldn't have had them in the first place.
How long have they been there?
The most recent ones have been there for 4 years ago. There's one that came 3 years ago.
How long have the cameras been there?
All of them?
Yeah. When they first come up with the red cameras?
I don't know when they first came. When they first came, I'm thinking about two in particular. One on both on Kedzie.
So how will you get rid of the cameras?
So it's really a negotiation. You talk with you actually replace the revenue stream. Now here's the question for you. It's hard for me to tell you how I'm going to replace it when I don't know who the new mayor is going to be, because it's all about relationships. You know, but you have to explain to finance.
And my move is let me share something with you.
Yep.
And we're gonna end it on this.
All right.
It's called the Bernie Mac syndrome.
Okay.
It's gonna come to who you with.
Exactly. The relationships. Absolutely. Absolutely. We talking the same language.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, we ready to go off and let this brother get the campaign, because the election is February 26th.
Absolutely.
And Tuesday is the first day of early voting. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I can say good luck to you.
I do appreciate you.
Okay.
Right.
And whatever happens, if you lose, share your thoughts with the alderman. And if the alderman should lose, aid and assist you to bring about better government if it's lacking.
All right.
In the 18th ward, because it's about the constituents of the 18th ward.
I'll leave you with this. Once I win, in order to serve the people, we have to have a transition anyway. So we're going to have to work.
Not a transition, an understanding that y'all got a responsibility
for the people
to aid and assist one another. Absolutely. For the betterment of the community.
Absolutely.
And not the check.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right, man. All right, Doc. Well, y'all heard about the burger. Now they talking about the sign, sealed, and delivered. They say developer of the old main post office is helping fast in the probe of Alderman Burke. And then we realized the Cook County Sheriff has unplugged its gang database, but critics still have concerns. That's a wonderful move that Dart made, and I, for one, am for support of him making that decision, because as everyone knows, that database, they had individuals on there that was no longer gang members or gang affiliated, that had became away from the gang culture by virtue of age, if nothing else. I was a former gang member, gang enforcer, ex-felon, been out the penitentiary for over 40 years. I've had my pardon for well over 25 years. Yet, they still look at me as being a gang member, but then you hear the police, fraternal order police and everyone else always saying that they the biggest gang in the city of Chicago. I want to say hooray, hooray to Sheriff Dart. I know that County Board President Tony Prattwinkle believes that they should get rid of that gang database because it only mainly targeted African Americans and Hispanics and Latinos. They have a new name. I got to learn how to pronounce it because they merged both of themselves together. I think it's inclusive of the immigrant community or whatever it is. Black and brown, I'll be safe by saying they have a majority of black and brown, and they have a few white gang members in there. But do they ask the white officer or cadets that's coming to the police department what gang they belong to? But I do know every time there's an African American or a Hispanic candidate that wants to train to be a police officer, they ask them about their gang affiliation. Or are they from a community that's known for having gangs? Or do they have a family member that's in a gang? Okay? And the reason I'm speaking on that is because I'm constantly reading in the paper about post-traumatic syndrome within the police department to the point that officers are committing suicides. And they saying that it's a mental health problem. And I understand it because we all human beings. I can understand the stress it is for anyone, male or female, to be a police officer, because I know their concerns every day is getting home to their children. And I still ask myself, if an individual has a mental health issue, how can he become a Chicago police officer? Just me asking that, I'm just voicing my opinion. I mean, I wouldn't want a dentist to be in my mouth and he got a mental health issue. I don't think no one will want a person that's a firebug as a mental health issue to be on the fire department. It's just my opinion. If you share that, call in. But thank God to you, the voters, who made the determination that the Attorney General, Kwame Raoul, will be and is the Attorney General. I want to say hooray, hooray to the voters in the state of Illinois. And because that's not saying that Lisa Manigan wouldn't have done what Kwame Raoul is doing today. But the fact of the matter is, she made a decision not to run again, and Kwame Raoul is now our Attorney General. And when I read the headlines that says the AG is reviewing Van Dyke's sentence, the unusual intervention. The unusual intervention follows ex-cop's 7-year term for murder. I remember when Ed Verdoliak, former alderman, 10th Ward, was found guilty. And when they sentenced him, the sentence was so lenient that the federal courts, I don't know if it's the appeal court or whatever it is, they asked for Ms. Verdoliak sentence to be rescinded and for him to be resentenced, and was to the point that they didn't remand his case back to the judge that sentenced him. They had another judge to sit on the rehearing of his sentence and gave him more time. Wow. We talk about criminal justice reform in the African American community, in the state of Illinois, in the county of Cook, and in Chicago. And it's happening right before our eyes. When Pratt Winkle became the Cook County chairman of the Cook County Democratic Party, for the first time in their history, she led the charge to get bad judges off the bench during the retention. And the first time it ever happened. And that bad judge, because of the voters, is no longer sitting on that bench. A lot of people feel like that judge that was responsible for acquitting those 3 officers that everyone saw, and in my opinion, evidence proved that they lied about what they knew was on the tape in order to cover up the murder of Laquan McDonald by Van Dyke. It has been brought to my attention that a lot of defense attorneys, if their case ended up in her courtroom or in that judge's courtroom, they used their one power to say they didn't want that judge to hear their case, and they used it. Almost 95% of the time that their cases ended up in that courtroom because they knew her bias against the defendants and her bias for police officers. So the community knew it was a no-brainer. They weren't shocked. Everyone knew this. And like me, they feel like the special prosecutors that had that case should have used that one power that they did have in the name of justice and said they didn't want to prosecute those 3 officers in that judge's courtroom. What we have to understand that we as a people, with our power of the vote, can help enhance the furtherance of criminal justice reform by electing the right person to be the mayor of the city of Chicago. Someone that will stand up on the principle of helping to bring fairness by making sure that it's a better contract for the Fraternal Order of Police that is inclusive of making sure that they don't have powers like they got now, where they can continue to do things, not the whole police department, but those individuals that believe that police misconduct is a way of life in the city of Chicago. That's my opinion. I'm just a registered voter. Kim Foxx. I want to say hooray, hooray, hooray. For you not just talking about it, criminal justice reform, you being about it. What's that old song? Let me walk the walk, let me walk it, or some old thing, a little rap song I be hearing my little grandson singing. You know, can you let me walk it like I talk it? Yeah, walk it like I talk it. Hooray, hooray, State's Attorney Kim Foxx. And I want to also say hooray, hooray to Illinois Senate President John Cullerton. He was in a town hall meeting. They'll promote pot legalization plan at Lakeview Town Hall. Those are legislators down in Springfield, and Mr. Cullerton is the Senate President. I think they had about 200 people in the room, and he asked the question, how many were for the legalization of recreational marijuana as well as medical marijuana? And the whole room raised their hand. And in jest, he said he just want to tell everybody that he didn't inhale. You know, you got to keep the company and got the comedy, you got to keep it flowing. What is your suggestion about the legalization of marijuana? My opinion is this. Every African-American alderman, every African-American legislator need to make sure that African-Americans is getting their fair share and helping to bring forth revenue to help the city, the county, and the state with this explosion that's about to happen with the legalization of marijuana. African Americans need to be able to have dispensaries. They need to be able to grow the marijuana in order to present it to the dispensary. They ought to get their fair share of this economic boom that's about to happen. Just my opinion. And it should be yours too. Because if you don't get in on it, they still gonna find a way to lock up a little guy that get a bag of reefer and go buy 2 blunts. So I'm just saying we got to pay attention to the laws that they're passing to make sure that they include us in the righteousness of the laws that they're making, instead of trying to find a loophole to make it where they can still criminalize black and brown people. There's a case where the county has finally settled. It's called, the county okays $24 million settlement to 3 men in the Inglewood 4 case. This is very important because One of the reasons that they had to settle is because they couldn't call certain witnesses. They didn't want the defense to call certain witnesses. And I'm sure the prosecutor was going to call certain witnesses, because one of the witnesses was a former assistant state's attorney by the name of Burns. I believe it's Charles Burns. He was a former assistant state's attorney. And when the federal government was investigating this case, I think because it was a federal suit, it was a sealed document from the federal investigation. I think it was an FD, Federal Document 302, that made mention of the things that this former assistant state's attorney, Charles Burns, I believe that's his name. He's now a judge now. And you can look it up. When they released that document, the state's attorney who was representing, or the attorneys representing the county, realized we can't win this. Prosecutional misconduct with someone that was a part of the felony review. And it come from another assistant state's attorney who was being investigated. And he told on assistant state's attorney Burns and the actions that he was doing, making sure that the state's attorneys agree with whatever the police officers said. Whatever they say, go with that police officer. This case of 3 of the 4 men wrongfully convicted in the Inglewood Ford case was approved Thursday, this settlement, by the Cook County Board. The 3, Michael Saunders, Harold Richardson, Vincent Thimes. The reason I'm saying this, because this same assistant state's attorney in another wrongfully convicted case of guys that was tortured by the John Burge cabal, people within his cabal. 4 of them was tortured. 2 of them were acquitted. One that was tortured so bad that he lost his genitals. 2 of them that was acquitted ended up getting the reparations from when the city council and the mayor agreed that those that was tortured by Burge should get at least $100,000 if they were willing to accept the reparations. In the same case, 2 of them are in the penitentiary. The torture commission come down and said that they was tortured too. So you look for them to end up getting a new trial. The same individual, the document that they used, where they had to settle with the Inglewood Ford because of the actions of Assistant State's Attorney Burns, the same Burns that's the judge, the same Burns that went out of state with 2 police officers that's known for torturing African American men, and went out of town to apprehend a guy by the name of Ivan Smith, with a court reporter to get a torture confession, and they brought him back to Chicago. And the other young brother that they tortured, that was tortured in this case, is named Javan Deloney, to the point that those torture confessions made it where another guy that they brought into the case, Terrence Brooks, because he wasn't tortured, they mentioned him, he ended up on death row. And by the grace of God, working through former Governor Ryan, made a move to stop the death penalty. And now we got the moratorium, there's no more death penalty. Terrence Brooks' case is coming up, and the state's attorney, Kim Foxx, has the right to make a decision in his case. And I think it's going to happen. They're going to end up freeing him because they're making moves now for him to get a new hearing. Special prosecutors that's on this case are the same special prosecutors in the Gerald Reed's case that was a tortured victim. And Gerald Reed just got his case getting a new hearing after he's been locked up for 28 years because of the torture and the prosecutorial misconduct. And my question is this. In Gerald Reed's case, we got to pay attention and ask the question. Call your Cook County Commissioner and ask your Cook County Commissioner or your County Board President to ask the Finance Chairman, Commissioner Daley, how much money is the special prosecutors getting from the taxpayers of Cook County. In the Gerald Reed's case, they got him at the county jail now. He's in limbo. They're against him even getting a bond because they're able to charge the county more and more money to fight cases that they know they can't win because they're private attorneys. They're not employed by the county. They're private attorneys. So taxpayers, let's pick up the phone. I'm going to put in a freedom of information to find out how much money they paying the special prosecutors in the Gerald Reed case, how much they spending in the case of Ivan Smith and Javan Deloney. We as citizens got a right to ask them questions. It's about criminal justice reform. If you don't get involved in it, it ain't going to work. And you're not going to get your fair shake. With that, I see show coming to a close. I want to say I appreciate everyone that's running for office. I appreciate all the voters that's making a decision to support whomever they want to. And I want to say, at the end of the day, we all must say, to God be the glory, because it takes all of us working together, united in peace, to aid and assist in pursuing justice. Thank you.